Blue skies as an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. As an American, I've been to the peaks of majestic mountains where the air is sweet. I've watched the eagle as it soars in beautiful skies that just can't be ignored. And by this country I'll always stand, for freedom and liberty for every man. When times are hard and things get rough, America always stands ready and rough. As an American, I eat apple pie, play
Good evening. Welcome to Real News Live, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully you're in a good mood. I got a story tonight that first I'm going to start off with a story time, little entourage, but it's going to be a fictional story. Remember that, fictional, not real, just a story. But hi BK, hi Tia, hi Nana, hi Debbie, hi Matt, hi Richard, hi Greg. How you guys all doing tonight? Of course, if you want to join the chat, please hit that share button and let people know we're in here and live talking about what's going on in the world. But first, let's start off with a little story. We're going to call this story Fiction in Wonderland, okay? It is a Wonderland story. It's not real. Once again, saying that again. Facebook, it is not real. Yeah. Anyways, once upon a time, there was a city and a country that believed in making people do things against their will and the benefit of public health. And there became questions about what the city was making these people do, or this country. They made them take vaccines and other things, and the vaccines contained very weird synthetic structures, that look like a polymer coating something else. And people started getting sick, just randomly. People that were exposed to high levels of radiation or radio waves started getting sick with these random viruses like the plague and Marburg virus and Ebola, just randomly. Monkeypox, just terrible illnesses. Of course, these people keep getting sicker and sicker. And then, of course, one day on October 8th, the government decided to roll out a new 5G signal that actually goes on the same wavelength of this polymer. If you know, everything vibrates at a certain wavelength, and you can destroy massive buildings, bridges, with, of course, just small vibrations, as long as they're the same wavelength of the structure. Well, this wavelength happened to destroy the coating, this polymer, that was surrounding these other things within a virus. And magically, everybody started getting sick. And the millions upon millions of people got sick. And of course, it all fit the world's view of population control. Not saying this is a real story at all. Once again, this is a fictional story. But what if that was the case? Do some research. Find out on your own. But let's talk about what is happening for sure. We know ICU doctors have seen a massive uptake. 17,400 people in the U.S. were hospitalized with COVID just last week. That's right, 1 week. So COVID is in the rise. 15% increase over the previous week. Hospitalizations, of course, on the rise. Started in early June or July, hitting an all-time low. After hitting the all-time low, now those cases keep climbing on a drastic level. Broward County, all of a sudden today, I didn't say anything. Maybe I did. Saturday, I was talking about Broward County. Maybe they're issuing contagion warnings and saying masks need to be worn at all times, going to the hospitals and other locations. They did today. All of a sudden, wow. That was a forecasted event. So how does that happen? Must be just coincidence, right? Now schools are grappling with COVID safety amidst, of course, this late summer surge, prompting school districts to reinstate safety measures as they try to protect students and the help their teachers without risking disruption in learning. So they're going to cancel classes again? Yeah, that's right. Canceling classes and making students learn from home. Kentucky, Texas, even very conservative states now leading in this manner. Alabama, Pennsylvania, all imposed safety plans calling for students that, of course, test positive stay home for at least 5 days, but now pushing for students to stay home and learn from home anyways. Wow. Going back to the same coincidence we had back in 2020. And the elections that year were quite catastrophic. So learning about this new strict COVID measures across counties and states, saying kids can come to school with a mild illness, but they prefer at-home learning. October 4th is emergency alert thing. I wouldn't worry about that. People are saying that this will be the first time. It's not the first time. Computers cannot get emergency alerts no matter what, unless you're subscribed to them. But yes, tablets, telephones, phones, all of those, of course, are being issued. Outbreak material has been distributed, and all, of course, anybody that is associated with WHO or is registered with them have given outbreak information about Marburg virus, which doesn't exist here in the United States, not that we know of right now. We'll see. Yeah. It's like they're preparing for something to come happen. On October 8th, it just happens to be the new 5G signal being rolled out. Where is this in the news? But polymers or nanopolymers that are found within the vaccine happen to resonate at the same frequency as the new 5G. Just coincidental, I guess. Not that my story was anything real and not fiction. But let's talk about what's happening in the world, because, of course, here it's getting worse. It's always getting worse. But why is it getting worse, and what's happening? Of course, Russia is having key missile strikes in Ukraine. Massive damage today in Ukraine. And Blinken, what did the United States decide to do? Oh, we're going to send another $1 billion in new American funding to Ukraine. Meanwhile, we're not going to help the 15 or 12,000 citizens in Hawaii, we're going to give them $700. $1 billion. $1 billion to Ukraine. Another $1 billion. We've given them over $108 billion already. Well over that. So now we're talking another $1 billion. If you were to divide that by the 50 or 12,000 people in Hawaii, that would be $83,000 a piece. That's just the $1 billion that they're talking about now, sending to Ukraine. The people that have lost everything are getting a check for $700. That's what they got. That's it. No more. That's it. That's all they're getting. Have fun. Da-da-da. You paid your taxes. We don't care. We're going to send it to another country. Or we'll just give it to an illegal immigrant that is here seeking asylum until their case is heard. Oh, cases are backed up 5 to 10 years? That's fine. We're still going to give them their $2,200 a month plus housing, food, and medical. Oh, no, they're not required to meet job work requirements, but if you're a U.S. citizen and you only receive food stamps, you're required to meet job work requirements. This is a joke at the heart of this. We have homeless veterans on the street, homeless people, period, on the street. Shouldn't be happening if we're taking in people from another country and housing them. That shouldn't happen. And it is sick what is happening to our country. Our money is going to other countries and other people than American citizens first. I'm not racist. I don't hate everything about being racist people. When I've got a message from somebody that was extremely racist, they've been banned from the page. But it's ridiculous at this point. We're floating billions of dollars to four nations, over $100 billion to Ukraine, but billions of dollars around the world. But yet, our humanitarian aid for our own citizens that have lost everything will not even cover 3 nights in a hotel in their hometown or anywhere near their hometown, even on their home state of Hawaii. Oh, wait. So maybe they should fly to another state because they can't drive there. Oh, wait, a plane ticket costs more than the $700 they were given by the government. This is a freaking joke at this point. And people need to wake up. This war front in Ukraine is a proxy war, and Ukraine is not winning. No matter what the media wants to push and say is happening, Ukraine is not winning. Russia's not just fighting a war in Ukraine. Russia's also fighting a war in Syria, directly against U.S. troops, holding ground there. But nobody's talking about that. It's not a war. It's a conflict. The war in Ukraine is, of course, a war. It's not a conflict because the U.S. isn't directly involved. If we didn't start it, then it's a war. If we start it, it's only a conflict. Afghanistan, 20 years later, that wasn't a war. That was a conflict. But the United States was, the one to bear. And the U.S., of course, it's not just trying to violate Army rules now, or military rules. Now they're going to send the 120 millimeter rounds used to arm the 31 M1A1 Abrams tanks that the U.S. plans to deliver this fall to Ukraine, are going to get armor-piercing rounds made of depleted uranium. That's right. Depleted uranium. We've already seen depleted uranium try to enter Ukraine once. Russia did blow up that facility. But now we're going to send it directly from United States territory. Pushing the boundaries every chance we get. Trying to make sure we say, Russia, look, we're just going to do whatever we want no matter what you say or what global politics say. I mean, depleting uranium around are a byproduct of uranium enrichment, which it's a process needed to create nuclear weapons. But the rounds still retain radioactive properties. They can't generate a nuclear reaction like a nuclear weapon would. But the problem is they still release nuclear pollutants into the area. You're talking the grain belt of Europe. That's where this fighting is happening. In the middle of farming fields. So when these rounds do get used, depleted uranium rounds, against any enemy in the grain belt of Europe, destroying that area, because you won't grow crops on it for many years, because depleted uranium still has a very long half-life, multiple half-lives at that. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that we're sending them into an area where no government would admit they should be used in war. Nobody. We're going to send that projectile to a war zone that feeds a large portion of the global population, knowing that it's going to destroy the fields. Nobody cares. The sanction of Russia, they're becoming a joke. Division is growing amongst the G20 or the G20 countries. I mean, it's not just one or two countries at this point. Even the United States Treasury Secretary has growing skepticism that this embargo or sanctions against Russia are going to last much longer because it's deepening the division amongst the group of 20 countries. World leaders and finance ministers meeting this week in India for the G20 summit, fractures have come open. Alliances are tightening amongst some nations that have long resisted the U.S.-led effort to exact economic punishment on Russia. And the U.S. is being pushed out. The United States is among the group of the 7 major industrial nations that insist on that sanctions and price caps on Russian oil have been successful, which they're not. Russian revenue is up more than it's ever been. Its year-to-year growth is higher than it's been ever, by 4.9%. And we're saying sanctions work. Meanwhile, China and Russia have become even closer, now have declared no limits partnership. Not just a partnership, but a no limits partnership. And the economic bloc called the BRICS are increasing the use of local currency instead of the use of the US dollar, and plan to phase out the use of US dollar completely throughout their economies. Now, this should be a very concerning light for the US. India's ties, in light of shared concerns about China's military, to this BRICS nation, of course, they're supposed to be a somewhat ally of the United States, shows that they're more willing to side with China, even though the concerns about Chinese military enacting punishment or attacking their own soil is better for them than side with the U.S. This fragmented economy and the political environment during these times, the difficult negotiations of securing food and energy for developing countries, even first world countries at this point, become shorter. There's no middle of the road in this. I mean, we're seeing Russia come up with deals that would allow Ukraine to export grains safely through the Black Sea, but saying they will not will store these until the West meets his demands on allowing Moscow to export their own agriculture. Why should they allow, and I'm going to say this, not as a U.S. citizen, as a person of the globe, why would Russia allow Ukraine to sell its grain globally, freely, when they know they can stop it from happening, while the West does not allow Moscow to sell its own agricultural exports? We do not allow Russia to do anything. We stop Russia from exporting food and fertilizers, even though a parallel agreement that the United States said would remove obstacles for Russian exports of food and fertilizer has not been honored. I mean, restrictions on shipping and insurance on hampering of its agricultural trade is paramount for Russia right now. Even though it has shipped a record amount of wheat since last year, most of that going to China at a very discounted rate. Now, Russia's doing better off because they are selling more overall globally, but we're watching this unfold. The United States can't do anything about North Korea paying the price. North Korea is already giving munitions to Russia. So is China. At this rate, I would say India is too. People need to wake up. This is happening. China said today, and China warned against a new Cold War at their summit. China warned against taking sides and focused disputes of the China South Sea. The U.S. Vice President stressed commitment to Southeast Asia. But of course, these Asian, I don't even know why we're involved, because this is the Asian Pact. But yet we're involved because we're always involved in everything. We got to keep our pedaling. The U.S. involved in this Asian Pact is unfolding, and it's getting worse. Watching this unfold. Harris isn't going to be able to take over. She's not ready to do anything. It's a joke. Yeah, I'm seeing Biden resigning before impeachment, but I see him being impeached even after resignation at this point. Only because of the corruption that's coming out. Of course, can't talk about that until we get this video released or this new audio released and the emails released publicly. We want to see them. So does, of course, a lot of Republican House and Senators and Senate. But watching that the bloc confirmed a new Cold War will happen, which means BRICS nations in danger getting dragged into a major power dispute. Especially China talking about its own island that we agree on China's one China policy. I've said this many times. This is a joke at this point. Global politics are at an all-time high. Fracture lines are forming within our own alliances because they have to buy certain products from Russia. But yet the U.S. says nobody can buy anything from Russia unless they follow these rules. But we're right now buying uranium from Russia to power our nuclear power plants. Nobody's talking about that. And the Wagner Group, the one group that everybody says dismantled, and I was talking about it spreading out throughout Europe, the UK is declaring it a terrorist organization officially. United Kingdom will declare the Wagner Group banned terrorist organization. Wow, what a surprise. It's not like I said they spread out throughout Europe, and news would be coming out eventually about them becoming a terrorist organization because they're terrorist plotting. These prescription orders makes it clear, of course, that the Wagner Group involved in looting, torturing, barbaric murders, not only in its operations in Ukraine, Middle East, and Africa, but also in UK itself and other countries amongst the European Union. Now, of course, these men are dispersed throughout Europe, and we're watching small-scale attacks happen, and this should be a clear message to them that UK will not tolerate Russia's proxy actions, which supposedly they're no longer a Russian group at all, remember? All this talk about their leader being killed by Vladimir Putin and everything else, and they were trying to kill Vladimir Putin, and they had to go to Belarus so they didn't get killed. Now they're saying that they're working directly for Vladimir Putin again? That's how they labeled it. They're everywhere. What does it mean when our government becomes a terrorist organization? When it's used against the people's will. When it's used to violate people's rights. Because that's at the stage we're at now. That's where we end up. America is no longer the free country it once was. No longer the home of truth and freedom and bravery. We're the home of corruption, political power, and seeing who has the biggest sword, or the biggest stick in this case. We're no longer fighting for stuff that is good for the world. We're fighting for what's good for the people at the top. And it's sad to say that's happening day by day. Our countries are falling apart. Our country's falling apart. No longer have leaders that actually respect the Constitution, much less want to honor it. They want to destroy it as quickly as possible, run it over, and make sure it never gets used. First Amendment's already been out the window. Second Amendment, they're going after. Fifth Amendment, forget it. Fourth Amendment, oh, you don't have the right to that. That's freedom. Your freedoms are gone. Now they're trying to turn amendments against the president or ex-president of the United States, soon to be president again. In light of political rivalry, America needs to return to America. The America we once knew, the America we once wish we never lost. God bless you guys. I'm going to call this a night. If you guys can afford to, please donate. Every donation is going towards Thanksgiving for families in need. God bless you all. God bless America. Stand tall, stand strong, and be prepared. October 8th, of course, is the new 5G signal for the United States launch. Not saying my fictional story has anything to do with that, but it does. God bless you. Good night.
Good.